I
Good
can hear.
morning. Uh, Happy Tuesday. Value First Nation, LinkedIn friends. It is August 5th, 2025. We are here with another episode of Value First AI Daily, your collaborative AI intelligence report. How are we doing today, Nico?
We're doing good. I was bopping because, I hear the music every morning and listening to it. Obviously, I play around in Suno a lot, and so I was just like, yeah, you know what? I think I can. I think we're gonna record this. I'm just gonna turn it into like just the dopest, dopest dubstep track you've ever heard.
Yes, let's do it. I'm in.
But yeah,
So,
doing good,
where do we
doing good.
start? Alpha do what now?
Alpha do Earth. Yeah, I mean, here's a real again, like, and I might as well just sort of break it out because um it's a toy to us at this point. It's my favorite toy of all the toys that we've built with AI. It's hands down the Oracle is the funnest toy of all of them. It's definitely the scariest of all of the toys in terms of like, hey, that's a dangerous thing you're playing with. And sort of rightly so, because it's not really um gosh, it's not quite as like it's not quite as dangerous as the Volantier, but it's close, right? Like you might see something you didn't want to see if you ask the wrong question. So what is the Oracle? You can kind of tell from the left hand side and absolutely from the right hand side that the Oracle is the culmination of an idea that I had a while back. I wanted to build a physical spider's web in my room, which I may still do. I'm not sure. But because of wanting to build it out physically, I was like, well, I know that Claude can do diagramming. So at least let me get the core diagrammed with Claude, and then I can just print that out, and then I can start doing the web on my wall. Because the whole thing was like, okay, well, I want to see what happens to that focal point. Like I didn't want to. Most people would define a focal point and work their way out from there and see like what all attaches to that focal point. I think it's a misnomer. And I say that only because of the fact that if you start with a focal point, you've already deadpanned yourself into like, well, it has to be this. And now I'm going to find all my supporting arguments in order to make sure that it's that thing. And it could very well be true, but it could be off a little bit, or even the slightest, not slightest, but like a world event could shift the whole thing entirely. So what I like to do instead is I just like to peg the outsides. And I just keep putting like more and more pegs on the outside of the circle or the web. And then I connect the strings wherever they connect, right? And if there's a peg here and then there's one down next to it and it turns out it goes down, then it turns out it goes down. But then that peg might connect to this one, might connect to that one, might come over to this one, might go back up to this one, might come back to the original, right? So the point of the Oracle was just that, was like, okay, if I stick another peg in this web, where does it land? And once it's landed, what are the repercussions? Like now that it's there, what other pegs does it affect? What is the downstream of that? What can I expect, because of this event having hit, right? And we started out like real simple. It's just like, just like stuff that was going on at the time that we started building it. And like, again, the Oracle is comprised of like major, just like both major facts and events. And that's not to say that like Claude doesn't know about this stuff or anything like that. There's a difference between like asking Claude outright and asking this Oracle. Asking the Oracle, it's like it's taking all of this stuff into account at the same time when it's making that decision on like what it's going to tell you, as opposed to just asking Claude and you'd have to go into this lengthy conversation every single time you want to figure it out. We have an untitled
Which is what you were doing before you built the Oracle.
Right. Like I used to just have these like existential conversations that went on forever and ever and ever. And that's where the Klaatu paradox came from. I had to come up with this prompt injection of like, okay, well, how can I start a conversation with Claude where every time we're going to talk about the existential crisis of humanity? And it was like, well, the day the earth stood still was pretty much the best example, because it's like, okay, why don't we play this game where I play the role of Klaatu and you play the role of humanity, and you have to convince me why it's going to be a good idea to bubble you up and, and save you guys, right? And that kind of started, yeah, it was the catalyst for all of this. And so there's been some developments recently. I hadn't gotten back to our Claude version of this project, which we both find to be magnanimously, which I just don't have an O3 Pro GPT, and even if I did, like the response is slow. Like I don't know, the brains are faster on this end. So I hadn't put some new stuff in there, and there's been quite a bit. You know, we gloss over how much stuff has been happening. I shouldn't even say gloss over. We just never get to a lot of the things that have happened, right? So, you know, one of the things that puts this technology forward faster than anything else is self-sustaining energy. And so now we have a fusion reaction company that was able to hold a 13-second fusion reaction, which doesn't seem like too long, right? And then all of a sudden it just starts getting even longer. Went from like, I think it went from like 12 to like 12 seconds. It went up to like 8 minutes, and then from 8 minutes up to 14, and from 14 up to 23. And it's like, again, like what's nice about it is that you get to see like not only what happens, but also like what happens downstream as a result of it. And there are things that we programmed in there, like, you know, make sure that you have XYZ percentage confidence level of the estimation that you're making. Don't just like jump into it. And
Yeah, very careful to manage bias along the way, right? Because
I mean,
that's where, like, all we can do as the humans in the loop is highlight known information, like news stories, actual events, and how we feel like
yep.
about things, like what we feel could be connected or could matter. But everything gets pushed into like confirm this is true or confirm why it's not true and give us confidence levels for each thing. And that's where even when it's deciding what connects to what, there are confidence levels related to that. Um, and so it's basically, we're finally at that point where we don't have to put, and we shouldn't put the pins in. Like we should just be like, new pin, new pin, new pin. Uh, Tell me why you put it there. Oh, okay, cool. Like that. Yeah, that makes sense. And doing it in this way, like it's hard not to feel like, you know, the movies where like where the stories where it's like, guys, we've been telling you this for years. And like now everybody's realizing it's true. Like we're getting to that much faster. I was just talking to somebody about how AI activates the thoughts of an ADHD mind if you just get it out, like get it out into the AI. And this has
Mhm.
been the best version of that I've seen. Like I've got, you know, all these different projects and like it creates another challenge of being organized with AI. But the way Nico has built this out is very much in a very intentional way, trying to confirm like even what we hear like from experts, right? Like so when we see that node of fusion,
Mhm.
it matches what the experts are saying where some of them aren't like the models are the models. They're already like PhD level, they're already super smart. What are we gonna do about energy, folks? Like we don't have a plan for that, but we know AI will help us like figure that out.
Yep.
Right. So they get excited about stuff like fusion energy and infrastructure and things like that. So we get to bring all that together here and provide some true timelines where it's like again, like why do we have to be surprised by this stuff if there's like just like Keep going. Keep going. I don't want to.
No, it's, I mean, like, that's, that's, it is the crux of what we're talking about. Like I said, last year they started with a 12-second reaction, and it was like, high five. We fucking got it to even sustain for 12 seconds, right? And now we're looking at 22 minutes. And it's a year. So like I don't know what next, I don't even know. Look, I'm not math. I don't know what that exponent looks like, but I know that a year from now, that looks like, I don't know, something close to a day, maybe. I don't know, right? But then extrapolate a year further from that, and then a year further from that. By the time you get to 2030, it looks like at least 1 year's worth of self-sustained energy. I would imagine at least, right? And that's assuming that AI doesn't help us like further than what we've done already. So, yeah, like a lot of the times, let's put it this way: I don't. It's with great power comes great responsibility. I'm not saying that that's necessarily what goes into the thought pattern for me whenever I use the oracle, but it is kind of at the basis of it. In other words, I don't use the oracle to. There's only one question I ever ask without knowing the answer already, which is timeline for superintelligence. That was one of the primary reasons in building the oracle to begin with, was to verify that timeline, where I thought it was versus where experts thought it was. I thought it was towards the end of next year. Oracle moved that up by like 9 months, basically.
Yeah.
And it's because of these things, like being able to take into account, like, where are we with power? Where are we with building Stargate? Where are we with global cooperation? Like, I haven't put the note in yet. I don't think about. Yeah, I don't think I've put it in yet about China's global initiative. That is going to, that I can't. We'll do that here because that's going to do some stuff. But yeah, you can see there are things like, okay, so like, why would viral bunny video be in here? Nico, what the hell? I thought you said significant things. Yeah, it is significant that 200 million people got fooled by an AI video. That is significant. If you've seen the video, it's kind of nuts.
I have not seen it.
It looks like the only reason I knew that it wasn't like what it should be is because like they look like Easter bunnies. There we go. It looks really good. The shorts probably.
Bunnies caught jumping on trampoline at 2 a.m.
I mean, you can see if you look at. So the only reason that there are a few reasons, but thankfully, I guess my first delve into doing anything sort of semi-professional, or at least throughout college, I spent at least 3 years studying nothing but CGI, animation, effects, and physics. And so the way in which things bounce and the way in which things move sticks out to me like there's no tomorrow, only because of that. Like, I've just trained on it like there was no tomorrows, and I watch it in movies all the time. It's the number one, like, that and lighting have always been the two greatest giveaways in like movie and TV CGI effects. So when it comes to like AI rendered stuff, not every video model has a physics engine like behind it or understands physics like well enough. It's seen things, it's trying to mimic things, but like it understanding bouncing on a surface versus the weight of the bunny and how big it is bouncing on that surface. Like in other words, the trampoline surface should go down much further based on how fat these bunnies are, right? Like one little bounce should definitely be like putting some weight on it, right? Yeah. But it's still like pretty good. If you don't know any better, it's pretty damn good, right? So to me, that's significant, right? There's been like a couple videos for sure, but this has been the one that was like, holy crap, that really did fool a bunch of people. One of the ones that I actually love is This is one of my favorites. And it's like, this was the one of the first ones that I saw when like it all sort of started, right? And it just looks very like except for like some little parts where you see like the knife is kind of messed up or whatever. It looks really good. There was one like with a kiwi and stuff where like you're just like, oh, it's cutting into like candy. It looks like you're cutting through a piece of like hard shell candy. Okay, I could see how that's possible with like a super sharp knife or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, AI, right? Did it fool enough people? Not enough for me to say that it was like significant because again, you could kind of tell. The ad, right? I don't think I've put that ad in here. The NBA ad.
I
That
think we did.
definitely.
I think we did.
Yeah, at some
Yeah.
point. There's been a lot, but like
Well,
stuff like
like
that.
we can, and it's like interpreting audience reaction to like whether it's actually significant or not. Like
Mm.
that audience reaction, consumer behavior, like turns something insignificant into significance very quickly, right? Um, so bringing those things in, yeah,
And so Google came up with the idea to merge DeepMind with Google Earth to create Alpha Earth. And it's almost like, why? Like, was that really necessary? I suppose
I mean,
to
or
try
why
to like,
not?
yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like when you're a scientist, it's kind of like a very chappy type thing where like, oh, we can do that. Well, can we do this thing? Like, let's see what else
See
we
what
can do.
happens.
Curiosity, right? Like that kind of drives science at its core.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was like, all right, well, let's see what we happens like when you add this other, because we've had like physical intelligence, we've had artificial intelligence, we have like core math intelligence, like musical intelligence, and now we have this like geographic sort of form of intelligence. Not entirely sure why, but still, we talked about Alpha Evolve already. That went under, like that went over. It was just like it blew my mind. Like when Alpha Evolve came out, and people were just like, "Oh, cool, another model from Google." Huh? What? Like what? Like, sorry, they just openly announced that they have a self-evolving model that it recursively learns and teaches itself, and no one gave a shit.
Because
I don't understand.
They'd rather be watching bunnies on trampolines, bro. Like,
I guess, man, at the end of the day, right?
and we know that. I mean, I'm like not joking in terms of like that is what impacts like adoption rates and people's understanding and the amount of surprise that's going to happen. But
Yeah.
like we're reaching. This is where like it just feels like there's like a switch transition possible where because we're so driven for the dopamine hit of watching bunnies bounce on a trampoline that like does the fooling like at some point the fooling doesn't matter, like you don't matter what created the thing, if it was real or not.
Did it just give you
And
the feeling?
right, you just go consume the thing. And um
Abstract art, right? That's
yeah,
my favorite example. Abstract art.
I
It's
mean
not.
cutting glass fruit
Yeah,
is abstract video
right.
in terms of
It's an
like, oh
ASMR thing. Like
yeah,
I should have
it's
turned
like,
the
oh
audio on, but like you hear, the little crinkling and cutting of the glass,
yeah.
like what sounds like glass as the knife is going through. And that's all those videos are meant to be. They're just these ASMR video, they're both. There's videos out there that there's nothing to the audio, but the video itself is called satisfying videos
Yep.
because it's like rows of things. It's meant for like people with ADHD, or if you're OCD, you see like all these things nicely in a row and everything perfectly organized, and like somebody does like a perfect motion of something. And you have ASMR, which is sort of the same thing. It's this like perfect capture of a specific sound or a type of sound or whatever. And so this dude, genius, like just smacked them both together. and creates this perfect like visual, like, oh my god, that looks so good, and at the same time the crinkle is so perfect. um and yeah, to if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, right? It's like
Yeah.
we were talking about with AGI. There's one of the nodes that's on here is figure 2. The owner of figure put a I love this DJ, that's why her stuff pops up all the time, but laundry time with figure 2, guys.
And like the joy of the Oracle is that it can show us timelines. Um, I mean, it's literally like human, human, capable, like Doctor Stranging, like if we really wanted to go there.
Yeah.
um, right? And all for the purpose of like, there's no reason to try and hide this information. Like, it's it's obviously going to have a great impact, but the more you're not ready for it, like the worse it's going to be in some spaces. It really depends on like how you how you assign value like to your life and what you do every day. And like, because if you're already like in contentment mode, like just going with the flow, the transition can be easy, like for you, like
Mm-hmm.
because it's like you just accept the fact that this is going towards a place of abundance. Um, and it doesn't like the math doesn't work to take it like in the other direction in the long term. Like it's literally in no one's best interest to go in a non-value focused route,
Mm-hmm.
machine or man. Um, and like being able to play with this information and say like, okay, how can we help with the transition in the right moment? How should we be thinking about this as people who create content, and talk about it in meaningful ways? I mean, just obviously there's been nothing like it. When we get to the point where like energy, the reason this web, like the infrastructure and energy piece, like is far and away, like I think the factor that like we don't get to abundance until that's figured out. But when it is, it's like how quickly can the infrastructure adjust to say like to start changing our ways of life in terms of like there's not gonna be a washer and dryer, not gonna be a dishwasher. Like we're gonna figure things out that like stay clean all the time or are repurposable, and instead of cleaning them, we just do something else. Like we just give it to our AI friends, our robotic friends, and they make it like new. Um, there's so many directions this could go because we build things inefficiently, like as human beings, right? And now we're handing over these tasks to a system that drives efficiency and value at all costs. And like as soon as we ask it to, this is where like the alpha series, it's like we've already proven that if you focus it on being the best at anything, it will get there. It will get there. Like guaranteed, right? AlphaGo is the first example of that. Um, so as soon as and this is where everybody innovating together, inventing together starts to solve all this stuff. And with AI in the middle, to be able to web it all together and see this person is doing this thing over here, it connects to this seemingly disconnected thing over here. And now, boom, no more washers and dryers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so maybe you guys want to consider that, right? But then where like societal infrastructure comes into play is like there's a lot of companies making washers and dryers, like, and making money off that. There's a whole service industry. Like, there's laundromats, like whole businesses that just go away,
Hmm.
right? And I'm picking, like, on purpose, a fairly manual, like, activity that's really hard to imagine us not needing, like, to do laundry, since we wear clothes every day and we should wash them. But those are the things, like, imagine, I've said it with dishes before, like, what happens when they figure out how to make meals in a way where we don't need dishes that need to be cleaned, right?
Right.
Then
Right.
you're not buying robots to do the dishes, like, anymore. And how much
Well,
energy is that gonna save? And
I gotta tell you, I mean, and I might as well say because it's a book that I've. This is actually my book. It's not an AI written book. It's my book that I've been working on for some time. On and off, and it's odd that you'd have something that could write a book in a day, but still uh, not finish it. And it's mainly not necessarily because of drive, but also because of like muse, inspiration. Like you have to be in the moment of also wanting to be that level of creative. And so I finally got around to actually finishing it, at least the first rough draft, and it's rough. So, but part of that story is nutrient paste, and the fact that a lot of people essentially it's the future equivalent of like a ramen meal, right? But it's just this nutrient paste that yogurt, and there you go, right?
yeah, the
And so
difference
like
between eating to live and living to eat.
right, because like that's the way I am. It's like I just want to like go right, and I
Help
don't
me
want to have
not
to like
pass out while I'm working with AI. Like,
right, like so it's I do see that. I see this. I see exactly what you're talking about, where we move towards this world of like, okay, we already have a horrible sense of how much of a disposable society we live in. Um, so it obviously only helps to kind of just like put that into greater perspective, and try to fix that first. That's especially
yeah.
unfortunately, this is gonna be a question I don't
Well, human
want to.
consumption is at the heart of a lot of human problems. So expect that to get solved for. As we wrap up, like, what are we, in a matter of minutes, like, we add a new node, and what is it telling us?
Um, so it's telling us that with the opposing opinions from China and the U.S., one of the things that's going to be the most detrimental to us that I can see is the fact that um, China is essentially going to push what it is like they're not their prerogative, but again, they're going to like push for the rest of the world to catch up to where they are, and which is right half a step behind where we are, right? They're going to share everything that they know, basically. And then you can see just on a global scale, right? Like we are trying to work with India desperately, and yet it's probably not going to happen, right? Everybody can see. And the thing is, it's just who's behind the wheel right now. It just makes it very, very difficult to trust whatever happens on the soil over
Yeah.
here.
And
Um,
I think we end on this uncomfortable truth that we're seeing on the left.
yeah, so I wanted to ask a
Documentaries from
question.
the future.
Yeah.
So we do need to wrap. So we'll just let you drink that in. And maybe we can dive in tomorrow. But the whole goal here is awareness, folks. Like, it might feel crazy, it might sound crazy, but once you start putting the pieces together, it's less and less crazy. And then you start thinking about, what if? Like,
Hmm.
what would I do in that world? And that's all we're trying to get you to do. Uh, we're gonna be sharing details tomorrow or the next day of a new training series that we're offering, to help. Like, because if we can get you to take action. Like just to say to yourself, I need to understand what's happening and how I can participate, right? For on behalf of myself and on behalf of all the people around me that count on me as a business leader that are working for me. Like, don't sit here and like put your hands up and say, I don't know what's going on. I'm worried about the risks, blah, blah, blah. There's easy action you can take, and we're trying to help you take it. So we'll be sharing more details about that.
Mhm.
And until next time, Nico, thanks so much, man.
No problem. See you guys.